This is Rostra, the St. Theodore Guerin Junior Classical League podcast, where we bring the lessons of classical study into the light for the benefit of all.
Welcome back to Rostra. We're so glad to have Gwyn Neill with us today, and a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and we may get into why that is as we go along here. But Gwyn, what is the topic, and why are you talking with us about it today?
So I'm speaking on a historical event called the Catilinarian conspiracy, where Catiline.
That's it, Catiline.
Catiline, in 62 BC, tried to, why am I forgetting what I'm trying to say? Tried to overthrow the Roman consuls, Marcus Tullius Cicero and Gaius Antonius Hybridia.
Good.
In like a coup d'etat type thing.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, I think if anytime somebody tries to overthrow the government, that kind of gets people's attention, right? A significant historical event. What do you know about this guy, Catiline, that would have led him to want to do this in the first place?
So, Catiline was from a noble family which hadn't held consul for over 300 years at this point. So he was determined to revive that family fortune and ran for consul 3 different times prior to this. In 73 BC, he was accused of violating a Vestal Virgin. And if you don't know what the Vestal Virgins are, they held a religious importance to them where they were bound to chastity and also prayer and sacrifice to the pagan gods. So he was accused of violating a Vestal Virgin named Fabia, having inappropriate relations with her. And also possible accounts of a first Catiline conspiracy come up throughout history, which is widely disputed and considered to be fictitious. However, that was something that he was accused of.
So you got a guy who, and you put it in modern terms, if you're like running for U.S. president,
yeah,
right? You run for president, you lose. You run for president again, you lose. You run for president again, you lose. And along the way, you mug a nun on the streets of New York and rob her. It's like, dude, right? So this is a guy, right, who is seriously setting up a kind of a bad figure here. Finally, he decides, like, this is not working, me running for office. And so then what does he try to do that really, now that we call this conspiracy, what are the details? What is he really trying to do here?
So in the formation of this conspiracy, he enlisted 5 senators, which were not notably good people. 2 had held consul, or almost did, meaning that they lost the election, mostly due to, again, foul play being involved, and both having titles stripped from for financial immorality. So not good people that he was forming this with.
Exactly. And I always say, you can judge a person a little bit by the people that they hang out with. So this guy, right, he gets together some senators who already themselves... Disreputable, exactly right. And so the idea is, hey, they're going to overthrow the government, he's going to take over. Can't get elected, I'm just going to take over myself. So does this happen? Does this get thwarted? How does this play out?
Well, this wasn't going too well for Catiline because he had a lot of people that were very against him, including Cicero, who in his speech during the summer of 64, he accuses Catiline of beheading Marcus Marius Gratitandus, parading it through the streets before carrying it to the Temple of Apollo and delivering it to Sulla. So he already is now accused of murdering someone who held great political importance, and is also accused of, again, relations with the Vestal Virgin and having an incestuous relationship with his daughter. All of this comes, whether this is true or fictitious, it can assume that he probably took some accusations and ran with them, ran him completely into the ground with that. This also came from something that other historical accounts, such as Plutarch and in a book called the Commentiorum Petitionis, which was the electing handbook.
So people think American politics are rough, and the things that we say about each other and people running for office and so forth. Nothing in comparison to what the Romans would say. Yeah. It was very, very harsh. This guy Cicero that you mentioned, who spoke against Catiline, who was he in terms of Roman history?
He was somebody who held great importance and is definitely far more remembered than Catiline, I would say, at least. And he was also one of the consuls at the time.
Absolutely.
So he held great importance and somebody who very much was against Catiline.
Absolutely. This is a guy, you said it exactly right, he's consul, so he's been duly elected, which Catiline never was. And then even down through the centuries, as people look back at Cicero as a good guy.
Very loved.
Very loved. In fact, yeah, exactly right. And when he delivered a set of 4 speeches, really. 2 in front of the Senate and 2 in front of the people in the Forum, where he just laid all this stuff out about Catiline, what's really going on here. Once all of Catiline's plans were made public like that. What happened after that? Did you find that in your research?
So to preface, of course, in order to get all of these people to join him, he had to make some sort of pitch to them as to why he should be consul, why they should give him any sort of support. And so after the slave revolts were led by Spartacus, many people, rich and poor, were left in pretty bad shape. So Catiline promised cancellation of debt to Roman citizens. And of course, most people first think of the very lower class people as being his primary supporters, which is true in some cases. Keep in mind, Roman citizens. This does not apply to slaves or anyone of that nature, only the Roman citizens. So this included people who were, again, in just bad shape financially, the actual poor people. Also wealthy men who are unwilling to sell their land to escape debt, or also other indebted men who see revolution as the road to power. This also includes criminals, poor youth, and war veterans looking to repair their familial fortunes.
There's 2, I'm going to phrase it this way, there's 2 individuals that this makes me think of. This makes me think of Adolf Hitler and Scar from the movie Lion King.
Yeah.
You think about what Hitler did, and his whole thing was appealing to the Germans, your life is bad, I'm going to make it better. Right? And here's who to blame for it. Scar, same thing. He goes out to the hyenas, and he recruits them, and he says, your life is bad, I'm going to make it better, right? You follow me. We're going to overthrow Mufasa, and I'll give you something to eat. And so you see this kind of thing going on through fiction and through history. It's exactly what Catiline did to stir up his people. Once Cicero kind of revealed everything through these speeches, and he really kind of forced Catiline to leave Rome. How did Catiline end up?
So there were a few different events that transpired prior to all of this. The actual unfolding of the events happened also October 18th of this same year.
Good.
Cicero was woken in his bed by Crassus and 2 nobles with letters warning about a massacre that was going to come from all of Catiline and his followers. And in November 6th of this year, conspirators gathered outside of a senator's house as well, protesting and, making their case known. So all of this happened, but most of this was just talk and not much bite. So in January 62 BC, Antonius defeats Catiline in the Battle of Pistoria.
Yes.
And it was a complete wipeout. Catiline's people were defeated miserably.
Yes.
And this then resulted in their execution.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was an execution without trial for all the people that were caught.
And there's a lot more we could say. In fact, we'd have to have a whole other episode to talk about some of the legal consequences of all that and some of the problems that actually caused Cicero in the years to follow. But you're exactly right. Catiline and his forces completely wiped out. Catiline himself found dead on the field of battle. A huge, huge turning point in Roman history. And this guy Cicero, like I say, a lot of times in high schools and college classes, we will read those speeches of Cicero because they were so powerful. And it shows the power of the spoken word to really defeat, I don't think it'd be going too far to say, maybe defeat the powers of evil in terms of what was going on with Catiline there. So, Gwyn, this is absolutely fantastic. This is a wonderful episode. I think folks are going to get a lot out of it, and we appreciate it and hope to have you back sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Rostra. You may check out all our episodes on Spotify and follow us on social media at GuerinJCL. That's at GuerinJCL.